Hello everyone, I'm Corey Price, and today I'm going to be giving you a look into my IST 402 research and development project. For this project, I chose to do a home renovation, augmented reality, or AR application. The first thing I'm going to go over is just a brief overview of goals I had going into this project. I broke it down between goal, if it was achieved, and if it wasn't, why. So first, right off the bat, was just to create a working AR application for home renovation, which was achieved. Second was to have objects displayed on the user's device, which was also achieved. Next was to have the ability to have multiple objects displayed at one time. So for example, if you were remodeling your bedroom, you could have your bed there along with other items, not just one item at a time, and that was also achieved. Next was to let the user move around the object and scale it to size, just so they could have the most accurate viewing of what it would look like whenever they did this process, and that was also achieved. Finally, I wanted to let the user be able to customize the object, such as changing the style or color. For example, if you were putting a couch, you could change it between a leather couch or if you wanted to be some color material. But sadly, I was not able to achieve that. Little background on why was just whenever I was adding the material, it would work on the SDK, but whenever I would try to run the app on my phone, it would crash or freeze. So for the sake of having a working application, which was the main goal, I ended up scrapping this feature. Next, I would like to cover some issues that I encountered along the way through the whole process of creating this application. In this table, I have the issue listed, little description on each one, and how each one was solved. So first was just picking up a software that was completely new to me. Obviously, using any type of software you have no knowledge of, and especially coding languages, if you have no prior knowledge or exposure to them, it's going to be pretty tricky getting the hang of them. So I solved this just by taking some time teaching myself with the help of peers and internet sources such as Google, YouTube, Unity, which was the software that I used towards the beginning of my project, have a lot of tutorial videos posted on their website, which were very helpful. So next was application crash and a loss of progress. This was a very large issue that I encountered. It happened during the 8th week of project work. I was experiencing a lot of issues with Unity and ended up experiencing a crash and lost basically all of my project work up to that point. I'm not gonna lie, I panicked, figured that there was no way to bounce back from this. So I did some research, tried to find a different SDK, and ended up finding a new program and SDK that ended up being a lot easier to work with, and it only pushed me off track by a little bit over a week. So after that, once I got everything working with the application, I experienced a issue with scalability and display location of the objects. So basically what this was a bug in the application that was causing the selected object to be displayed in different sizes or different places and not just one set place every time you selected it. So I had to go back in and restructure a little bit of the coding for each object and make a few different selections on the options for some of the objects. And finally, time management. So going into this project, I figured I had more than enough time to carry out a project of this size, but I definitely underestimated the work, especially after experiencing that crash. I just started dedicating as much downtime I had and making some sacrifices just to make sure I had enough time and dedicated as much time and work and effort to completing this project on time. Now I'm just going to give a background on how everything was done. So I started out using Unity 3D as my main software and used a Vuforia SDK. Everything was coded in C#, and to save time I downloaded pre-made models for the objects. I experienced a crash in the 8th week and everything was fully compromised, which prompted me to switch to the VueAR SDK, which came with a Wikitude SDK. The Wikitude SDK is basically what kept me on track and kept me from not failing this project, as it offered templates which came with buttons and tracking already coded in. The coding was done in JSON and was done automatically, which also saved me an enormous amount of time, but the code could still be edited if need be. So an example was, like I discussed, the issue with the scaling and displaying of the objects. I had to go back in and change some of the code so that all the objects were displayed in the right location. Still to save time, I downloaded pre-made models for the objects, and all the work was able to be done through one platform. Um, a huge thing that made this software very nice and good to use was the ability to access it from multiple computers. Basically, I could be doing work on my personal MacBook and switch to a school lab computer, and all the work would still be there and they ran seamlessly. It also offered device use without having to sync your device or output the file to your device. You just had to download the VueAR SDK application from the App Store and type in your app code, and you could use it. Now let's do the fun part and go through a demo. What you're going to want to do is open up your browser and go to vuear.com. This will open up and take you to their main homepage, which looks like this, so you know you have the right one. What I want to show you on here is just the main selling point that got me to use their software. So it states VueAR is a leading global provider of augmented reality solutions, providing the only SDK platform to create AR and VR experiences without the need to write code. So after my crash with Unity, I was on the search for a new software. So with this one, not having to create all of the code and just make changes and edit to it saved me a lot of time and was a big factor in choosing this. So if you go to developer.vuear.com, this will take you to the developing page. Click on My Applications. This is the app I created, the HomeRenoAR. Just made that bundle identifier up and chose to use the Furniture Wikitude template, which provided buttons on screen for the user to use and tracking in the coding, which saved me an enormous amount of time. So if we hit the edit button, we're not going to make any changes just so the application does not get messed up, but it provides you the choice of tablets and mobile phones that you'll be using it on. Apple iPhone is what I'm going to be using it on, so it gives me that look. These 4 buttons are the ones that it provides with that template. You go ahead and hit live view. It gives you a kind of a look what it's going to look like, just a still image, so tracking. It's going to be used, but obviously you can't move the device around on here. Hit add as this is where on the device, this is what you're going to want to use to add items to the room. But we'll do that in the real live demo. So we can go ahead and hit next. So this will take you to the sample content page, which comes with the template, which we're not going to use any of that as that would be way too easy. So I decided to upload custom content. On this page are the 6 items I decided to upload. The 6 most generic items I could think of, I downloaded them off of a third-party website. So if we hit the edit one, just for the sake of this to show you what had to be done. So you import the name that you want it to be. Foreign key was optional, so you didn't need to do that. Same with description. Categories, I made a furniture folder, obviously where all the items were stored under one folder. Preview image is the thumbnail you want to pop up when the user is looking for an item. Scaling, you can just put to inches, which was the generic default use. So model bundle is the file you download or create. They have to be in FBX or OBJ format. And you just want to select model as the default type. Data is the code that it generates whenever you import the model bundle up here. And in here is the code that I had to modify for each of them, so they were all coming up in the same spot and the same size whenever the user selects them. So we're just going to go back to the My Content page and not save anything, just to keep everything secure. And if you hit the Paint Palette button, that will take you to the editing page where you can edit the objects. So when you download them from a third-party site, they're a very low resolution, just a dark gray color. So we can zoom in on this move it around if you want to. And down here, textures, I just uploaded pictures of textures that I got off of Google Images and made them into materials. And you pretty much just drag and drop up here and it adds it to the object. If you want to change it, you just double click on it. That'll say that this one is what you want, so you can get rid of that and you can place this color on it if you want. And as you can see, now it's a pink polka dot chair, but we are not going to save that, so it stays the wooden chair. And this view button, that's basically the same thing that happened when you hit the editor button. You can change it, move it around, see what it looks like. So we can exit out of that and hit next. This will take you to the settings you want to use. Category settings, this is just if you want all of your categories. You want to hit all so that that furniture category that I created pops up. And you want to hit View AR server so that you can access it on multiple devices and use the View AR application which you download, which it prompts you to do after you hit the next button. So it tells you that your app is now ready to test, and you can download the View AR SDK application and use your bundle identifier to access the application for testing. So let's go ahead and do that. So you can go ahead and open up the App Store and type in View AR SDK to download that application. It should be the first one that pops up, so there it is. Go ahead and click it. You would hit download, but since I already have it, I can just hit open, which I'm going to do. And since I've used it before, the bundle identifier is already typed in, but this is where you would type it in. You can go ahead and hit OK to open it up. I do have a custom background which didn't pop up on the computer, so you can see there it is. Just make it a little personalized. You can open up the info button, and that just shows you all the info about the application. So if we hit live view, I went down to the silent room. This is just to show one of the main features that I like is the one button. It is the information button on the side. They came with a template which shows you how to use the application. So what each gesture would do, as well as buttons on the side. Just to make the application a little bit easier to use. This is one feature that came with the template that I really found useful when first testing the application. So go ahead and X out of that, and we're just going to hit home real quick to go back to the main screen and hit live view again. That way we can just restart tracking. So you find this, it'll be red and blue, and you want to keep upping it in scale until you can see that it says US letter. You want to be able to read that clearly on the blue side, and then you want to drag that and put it in the center of where you want to use it, and then hit the tracking button. The View AR logo will pop up on the ground where you're doing most of the work, and now you can hit the add button to open up that page that has all of the imported objects. We're going to make this a bedroom, so we hit the bed, go ahead and scale that, put it back in the corner or wherever you wish to put it, but in this example we're just going to put it in the corner back there. Go ahead, drag and drop, scale it to what you need it to be. That looks good, so we're going to put in a desk next to the bed. Go ahead and hit that. I'm going to move that around, scale it, all you need to do. Put it right next to the bed. As you can see, a lot of the materials are used in the same objects, but that was just to save time. So we're going to drag and drop that there, and no desk is usable without a computer chair. The computer chair is the only object that, no matter what I do to the code, we can't change it where it gets printed and sized, but that's okay. We can still scale it, move it around. We're going to put it, keep the room nice and tidy, so we're going to scale it down so we can push it in the little cutout slot for the chair to be. And finally, we're going to go ahead and add another place for guests to sit when they come over. So we're going to throw a couch in the room. Go ahead and select couch, scale that, move it around. Go ahead and put it up against the wall. That's where it looks nice. Nice little place. Now you can hit this button down in the corner, which is the pause button, and that'll freeze the frame. You can go ahead and do a screenshot. That way you have what it looks like. And basically that's it. That's a nice little demo for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it.